What's going on, guys? Flyby Simulations here, and welcome back to the first product review on this channel for 2022, where we're going to be doing a detailed and comprehensive review of Martha's Vineyard Airport, released for Microsoft Flight Simulator by accredited developer Burning Blue Design. Now, what you see in the background is us on approach and landing at runway 24 at the airport, and the only reason I have this segment in the video is to make sure that you guys sitting behind your TV screens and your laptop screens can actually judge the impact this mod has on the performance of the simulator. So take a look at the simulator. If you're approaching with a general aviation aircraft like I am, this is what your simulator might look like. My specs, of course, are linked down in the description section of the video for you guys to check out and compare against. Now, note that the reddish brownish trees that you guys are seeing in the background are not courtesy of Burning Blue Design themselves. That is not part of the airport scenery. That is actually courtesy of a different payware mod called Rex AccuSeason. So if you don't have any sort of mod that alters the seasonal variation within your sim, either Rex AccuSeason or Bjohn's mod, then your trees will look green. So just as a little precursor to that. Finally, also note that we have a giveaway for this airport that I'll be announcing at the end of this video, where 3 lucky subscribers can actually win a copy of this airport, so do stay tuned for that too. And of course, if you enjoy the content that you guys are seeing on channel right now, make sure to like the video as well as subscribe to the channel, and also hit that little bell icon right next to the subscribe button so you guys get notified every time I upload a video like this one, which is a product review, as well as tutorials, cinematics, and a whole host of other flight simulation content. So I'll leave you guys to watch the approach and landing into the airport, and I'll catch you in just a bit, where we're going to be taking a look at everything from the runway textures, the airport textures, and so much more. So let's dive into the review of Martha's Vineyard Airport by Burning Blue Design. Alright guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed the approach into runway 24. So let's start the review by actually looking at the apron textures. Obviously, looking at the colors themselves, the dark concrete / asphalt textures that you guys are seeing in the background obviously looks super realistic and is a very realistic representation of what the actual airport looks like in real life. Of course, the materials that have been used by Burning Blue Design also support full PBR, and you guys can see that in the background. They include the sun textures as well, so you can see the sunlight beaming off the surface, and this is obviously representative of any weather conditions. So if it's raining, which we will take a look at in just a second, as well if it's snowing, all of these materials and their effects on the surface are going to be extremely apparent if you're looking out for it. When parked at the gate itself, you are treated to a beautiful view of the custom-made ATC tower, as well as the fencing and the terminal building. And you guys can clearly see that a lot of brickwork and custom texturing and modeling work has been done here as well, all of which contributes to an authentic representation of the airport in real life. Furthermore, there's also plenty of airport workers around the apron. Now, there's a mixture of both static workers, just to add volume to the actual life to the airport, as well as dynamic workers, such as the baggage cart workers you're seeing in the background, as well as others. If you look throughout the airport, there's also plenty of static aircraft that have been scattered to make the experience more natural and authentic, with both jets as well as GA aircraft scattered around the airport. Now, note that there are two specific aprons. There's this northeast sort of apron as well as this northwest sort of apron where they're both split up, and we also have this realistic cardinal plane sort of ground marking here with the north direction pointed. Attention to detail obviously is clearly high because this is a very specific ground marking that Burning Blue Design have paid attention to including within the simulator as well as in their package. Furthermore, if we just pan across this entire sort of black asphalt apron area again, we can also notice minor skid marks and imperfections, which obviously makes the place look more rugged and does honor to its rich history. Alright, so now that we're done with the apron textures, let's look at the taxiway textures and see what Burning Blue Design have accomplished here. Now, obviously, from a sort of surface level perspective, we can see that the taxi work has been done extremely well and looks ultra realistic. Of course, just like the apron textures, it's again fully PBR capable. So let's start off with the background textures again. Now, there's a lighter concrete texture used here in contrast to the darker apron ones, and the cracks and the breaks that you guys see in the background further add to the realism and makes the taxiways look more real and weathered and as if it actually has a long history of aircraft traveling over them. So that's obviously very good. Now, the dark yellow lines obviously are also darker than the standard Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 taxiway lines that you would find at default airports, and the way they bend and curve is also very natural. You see this a lot with other developers where sometimes the bending of the yellow lines, the taxiway lines themselves, is very sort of harsh and abrupt. That's not the case with Burning Blue Designs. It's very sort of smooth and it all curves and bends very nicely. Everything blends in beautifully. The alternating black and yellow taxiway line denoting the start of the parking apron and the end of the taxiway structure here is also very aesthetically pleasing and is also reminiscent of the real-life counterpart of Martha's Vineyard Airport. Finally, coming to the taxi signs themselves, they're also easily visible from the cockpit of the aircraft. Trust me, I've done multiple touch and goes and I've noticed no problems in looking at the taxiways. I've been able to look at my Navigraph charts and follow along just as easily as any other great payware airport. They're also the perfect size and shape, which is extremely important when designing these. They're also custom made, so if you do get up close and personal with them, you will be able to see some placards stuck to them, as well as other details on the taxiway signs themselves. So the attention to detail that I've been seeing is absolutely astonishing. There's also great illumination. This is especially apparent at night, but also during sort of rainy conditions and overcast conditions. The illumination of the taxiways themselves, the taxiway signs, is very, very good. Of course, there's no need to say this, since everything else has been carefully and meticulously placed around the airport. The placement of the taxi signs themselves is also completely accurate to what it looks like in real life, even down to individual screws and placards, as I mentioned before, placed on the signages themselves. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so now that we've taken a look at the taxiway textures, the obvious next step is to look at the runway textures, which again, spoiler alert, has been done to a very, very high standard. Looking at the runway threshold, we have these same yellow and black alternating textures, again, very well color matched and very well done, as well as the red actual runway numbers and numerals have also been done very well. The runways again sport the same uneven cracks and bumps we saw on the taxiways, which again contribute to the weathered look that we've come to expect from Martha's Vineyard scenery. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but Martha's Vineyard Airport is actually no stranger to even large aircraft such as Air Force One landing at the airport. It's actually a very favorite destination for past US presidents to land at, so that's pretty fantastic. Just a little side note. Again, you also have appropriate skid marks on all of the runways, as well as water, oil, and spillage textures right next to the runways, which again contribute to the realism, because in real life, you obviously don't have clean runways. You obviously have a little bit of weathering, a little bit of dirt and grime next to the runways. Now, both runway strips available at the airport also have their own distinct personalities, which is not the most common thing you can find in other payware sceneries. For example, the spillage textures around runway 15 or 33 are way more pronounced than the ones next to runway 6 or 24. Also, the relative size of both of these runways is also different, further adding to the realism as well as the dynamicism that you can experiment with when you get this add-on. Overall, I'd venture to say that the runway textures have been done to a very, very high standard, and probably some of the best runway textures I've seen in any payware add-on that I have tested personally in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Okay, so apron textures check, taxiway textures check, and runway textures also a big check mark. Let's see how Burning Blue Design have managed to incorporate a successful airport environment within this scenery. Starting with the grass that has been placed everywhere around the scenery. It's very well defined, obviously, as you guys can see in the background. Each blade of grass has been given the required attention to detail, and it creates a very sort of full-looking scene, and the foliage and the colors also look very representative of what they look like in real life, especially if you go on the internet and search up Martha's Vineyard Airport. Some of the pictures you see compared to the flight simulator rendition of what the airport looks like looks very similar. Additionally, appropriate location beacons have also been placed in the right places. As you guys can see in the background, you have VOR stations, NDB radios, as well as other ILS beacons and such that have also been placed around the airport with close-up modeling and great texturing. Dynamic windsocks have also been placed at different places in the airport, which obviously move with the wind. So if you're a GA traveler, or even if you like flying airliners, the windsock might actually be a very useful tool for you to use, and the fact that it's dynamic and properly simulated again adds to the realism that you might expect to find with Burning Blue Design's Martha's Vineyard scenery. Near the aprons, we also have airport vehicles like baggage carts, cranes, fuel trucks, ground power units, and so much more. And some of these are actually dynamic. They're not just static objects. Some of them actually move around, which again add to the realism as well as the authenticity of the entire scene. Now, Burning Blue Designs have actually been very clever. They've actually incorporated a few Easter eggs here and there as well, one of which is the inclusion of these birds that I saw flying around the airport. Now, I don't know if this is region specific or if this has been actually introduced by Burning Blue Design themselves, but nevertheless, it looks fantastic, and if you need a reason to fly at Martha's Vineyard Airport, the birds are one, because they all fly in this sort of collective stock, and it's really cool to watch sometimes. Moving towards nearby structures around the airport itself, they've all been modeled to an extremely high degree of accuracy, starting with the air traffic control tower you're seeing here that we saw a little earlier as well. The bricks on the tower are all individually placed and weathered, so it all looks great, especially if you're a GA traveler. If you're in this little Cessna Citation or something like that, you'll actually be able to see the attention to detail that's been given to every single brick as you're facing the air traffic control tower. Inside the tower, we also have a dynamic controller, sort of air traffic control operator, and some rough texturing of the screens and such. And obviously there's a little bit of a tint here as well, so you will be able to see different aircraft flying in and out of the airport if you have live traffic turned on, or if you're flying multiplayer. It's a very nice sort of perch, high spot to sit and watch aircraft taking off. It's very peaceful. The terminal, again, has great detail with custom-placed trees, garbage bins, passengers, reflective windows, even solar panels in some areas of the airport, which all looks fantastic. And again, different times of day, different scenarios, you'll come to appreciate it just as I have. Now, as we move outside of the airport, Burning Blue have actually done tons of work in surrounding regions of the airport itself. So not just inside the airport and the classic terminal, tower, whatever, they've actually also done significant work in the atrium and the entrance of the airport, making the experience of flying around the airport just as good as flying into or out of it. Every lamppost, car park, transformer, flag, tractor has been textured and placed at the right location to add to the authenticity of the scene. And trust me guys, if I've actually gone ahead and looked at a few satellite images of this airport online, and it looks very realistic to what you guys are seeing in the background right here. Overall, I personally feel Burning Blue hasn't just worked on the airport, but also the overall Martha's Vineyard region. So it shouldn't just be sort of marketed as an airport scenery. It's more of a region scenery in my opinion. It looks fantastic. So, switching things up a little bit, observing the airport at night, the aprons as well as the surrounding environment is very well lit up by the individual lampposts placed around the aprons that we just talked about. The main atrium outside the airport is also lit with orange lights, along with white lights for the hangars and loading docks. By the looks of it, the taxiway and the runway textures are default. Now, this is somewhere I feel Burning Blue Design could have done a better job. Everywhere else, the attention to detail has been amazing. However, I do feel that a little bit more work should have been done with the lighting of the various taxiway signs and the taxiway numerals. So would have liked to see a little bit more work done there, but still nice nonetheless. So overall, the airport is quite small, so there's not much to see at night, but significant work with the PBR materials has been done. The scattering and the anisotropic filtering of the various light objects and the light shafts does look very nice. I personally feel that it's been done to a very high degree of realism and not much more you can ask for. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so we've taken a look at the airport during the day, we've now taken a look at the airport during the night. How about taking a look at the airport in various weather conditions? So I'm proud to report that through my initial testing, I feel that the various materials on the ground interact beautifully with the various elements. Starting with the rain, the reflections and the actual water textures look great. They make, of course, full use of the PBR materials, and even the yellow taxiway lines you can see also adorn a darker yellow color as if they're drenched with water, which is of course very realistic. Switching it up, we can even see that snow interacts very well with various airport textures. The white parallel line patch here on the apron also gets covered with snow, and sparse snow coverage also exists on the taxiways, which is, again, realistic. You don't want it to be completely covered in snow or it'll be completely white. You want to see a little bit of the background textures, but at the same time, a little bit of sparse snow coverage makes it look very nice. The runway, on the other hand, remains absolutely clean, representing the spray of some sort of de-icing fluid, but flecks of snow do remain on the runways randomly, further adding to the realism. As for the environment itself, the grass next to the tarmac, as well as practically everywhere surrounding the airport regions as well, looks amazing. And I think the credit here needs to go to Asobo because they're the ones who have managed this, but I guess Burning Blue Design using that to their advantage also makes the scenery look amazing. Overall, I personally feel it's a job well done on the weather and texturing department. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the conclusion of this review, where I'll be giving you my final verdict on the scenery and whether or not it's worth the €13 price tag on Burning Blue Design's official website. Personally, I feel that the developer has done a fantastic job in recreating the region, with accurate placement of real objects, trees, vehicles, and so on. However, you purchase the airport to fly in and out of it, so it's more important to evaluate the inside of the airport, where I again believe that Burning Blue Design have done a truly amazing job with the various PBR materials, weathering effects, texturing and modeling of the ground, as well as various structures, thus contributing to a very enjoyable flying experience for me personally. Now, I would like to see some work done for the night lighting textures, especially on the runways and taxiways, maybe with a little bit of custom color correction and lighting in the future updates, but that's really if I'm nitpicking. So is this add-on worth it in my opinion? Yes, absolutely. For the price and being the first airport Burning Blue has released for the United States, €13 seems very reasonable for what you're getting, and is also a great way of supporting the developer for future endeavors. Now, for the section most of you would have been waiting for, the giveaway. So, avid viewers of my channel would have heard me say in my channel update video earlier in the month that I'm planning to launch a new Flyby Simulations Discord server to create a community for the people that support this channel. Well, I'm finally launching my Discord and will be hosting the giveaway over there. So, to win a copy of Martha's Vineyard Airport, all you need to do is to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the little bell icon to be notified of future videos, and then click the little link in the description section of the video to join my Discord server. Once there, simply go over to the giveaway page on the server and say, hey, I'd love to win a copy or something like that. I'll keep the giveaway open till this weekend and will then randomly pick 3 people and private message you on Discord with the personalized codes for the scenery. So that's it for the video, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed this product review, and there will be tons more on the channel very soon, covering a whole host of different content, including sceneries, airports, aircrafts, utilities, and so much more. Of course, we also have our weekly add-on spotlight video coming out in a couple of days, covering all of the add-on development news we've heard over the last week. So make sure you've subscribed to the channel for that, and you've hit the little bell icon to be notified when that video does come out. As usual, guys, thanks for flying by.